Okay. Guys, as we enter studio, we getting ready for uh this all important broadcast tonight. It's going to be very very interesting on the bottom line, and so we urge all of our viewers to follow us on YouTube on our YouTube channel. That is the bottom line. In fact, we're going to be sharing the link. All of our viewers to follow us on we're gonna be let me just mute channel that in fact. Okay, so uh we're gonna be sharing a link for the YouTube. All you have to do is follow us on YouTube and you will be live with us, and we sincerely do apologize because uh of some technical issues with Facebook. We are not able to go directly onto Facebook, so that's why we'll be streaming via the YouTube, but it's still going to be the same quality broadcast and so forth. So we'll be sharing the link now. Let me see. So you our viewer, you got to really bear with us a little bit because um we're trying to get this thing straightened up. We share the link first on our various platforms and individual platforms. So you can follow us on the bottom line. Um, The link is going to be up in just 1 second. And this is all part of the preparatory stage. So, okay, the link is up on the bottom line, and let's see if we can further share it to other places. That's a YouTube link right there, or you can follow us on that, and also um, bottom line Liberia. Steve, are you okay? Do you hear me well?
Yeah, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, and Paul, do you hear me well?
I hear you very loud and clear.
Okay. How do you guys do tonight? How is your we few days into the new year? How is your new year going, boy?
Well,
Did I hear you say we're a few days into the new year?
it's been okay
Okay.
here. It's been freezing cold and been raining as well. Apart from that, we're good.
Uh-huh.
Have you
Okay.
have you sent a link?
Yeah, I'm sending the link to the various platforms, our various platform that is, and then from there I'm going to send it to you guys individually, and then you can also spread them on your link. And so for our viewers, if you want to follow us, or not, if you want to, it is a must that you follow us because it's going to be very interesting tonight on the bottom line, Liberia. So we urge you not to miss this very informative program as it promises to be. So I'm currently sharing the link. Okay, the YouTube link is up on all of the platforms, and then I will now send it to members of the panel, and we have two people already, two of our panelists already seated, and we expect our guests in any moment from now. So we'll be kicking off. But this is just
The link haven't reached yet in any of the platform link for.
oh no, it should be there. It should be there. I share it. It should be. But okay, let me send it to you guys pretty quick, and then probably you can start sharing it from your end. Folks, you gotta bear with us. You know, we in a computer age, and some of these technical issues can occur just when you least expect them to do. And so, sorry for keeping you. We know that you really want to start watching now. And so let me just first of all post a YouTube link into the various group chats. Now it's going to our other panelists. Antrick, you have the YouTube link. You can share it on your Facebook page, and next is um, Paul. I'm going to send it to you in 1 second, but I'm sharing it on the other platforms. And then Paul is coming to you now
Yeah, I got
on your WhatsApp. Okay,
You just
and
send it on the borderline,
it's coming there as well.
panel.
It's coming there as
Yeah,
well.
you know,
Yeah, it's coming there
good.
as well.
Then
You
we
know,
just pick it up from there.
we got all these platforms scattered all over the place. So to feed all of them is not easy. Yeah, ENC Global, um, Leadership Council, they all need to see it. And whereas bear with us, guys, like we said, um, this is to make sure that everybody has an opportunity to watch the program tonight, since we are not going directly on Facebook. Okay, guys, I think you all have the links now in your individual WhatsApp accounts, and you can now spread them over to uh, your different pages. And as soon as we get a signal from our guests, then we will be kicking off. But by way of introduction, let me just say that you're listening to, or you are about to watch the program, The Bottom Line, and this platform is the platform solely for Liberian people, where we discuss issues of national concern, political, social, economic, human interest stories, and whatever. And so tonight, like I said, we're going to have a host, or a guest rather, and that guest is Mr. Menipake Dumoy. When he comes in, we're going to introduce him officially. But for now, my co-hosts and fellow panelists are here. Mr. Paul Chilipre is from the UK, and he's one of the panelists. And then we have Mr. Stephen Carley from Germany. Uh, Steve, while we await our guests, and it seems to be very, very tense tonight. And the reason I think, it's just my own opinion, that I think is tense, it's going to be tense, is that, we are having a lot of things coming up politically, in a warm, or what I would call a warm up to the political season in Liberia. And I guess we all expect different activities to pop up during the time leading up to elections. Okay, and so um, uh, okay, um, Steve, you guys can be talking something. I think our guest is calling me, and so I got to get there to. Probably he's facing some problems, so let me just get and take control of the situation. But you guys can be, just discussing.
it's okay. So, Steve, how are you today? How's Germany?
Well, I'm doing pretty okay. I'm doing pretty fine. I thank God for the opportunity to be alive and to be healthy, to be like my 7th day into the year of perhaps 366 or 365 days. You know, even though the year have basically started on new historical footings, the year have started with new historical precedents, you know, on our political landscape or within our political landscape. Some of the things we start to experience, we've never experienced them before. You understand? I agree. Real change have always been resisted in Liberia, but I don't even know whether there has been anyone into the history of Liberia that have suggested, the degree of realness, of the kind of change that Mr. Cummings, is suggesting to Liberian people, and one can assume this has informed, the fear factor, from the brothers from the other side of the divide, has informed their resolve, to have orchestrated what is unfolding right now in Liberia. So yeah, the year have started, in a very harsh way, and we hope and we're ready, to be confronted with, unfoldings, that will come out of what has just been initiated. So yeah, for
Right,
we hope to be a part of the conversation moving forward.
right. Let me tell our listening audience, because of technical issue with Facebook, so we are now screening live from YouTube. Because I know people have been following, texting me what is the link. So if you go on my Facebook page, there's a link there. You could follow us. Steve Carley and the rest of the panelists also have shared the link on Facebook. Welcome, actress. How are you?
Hello, everyone. Hi, Steve. Hi, Chair. And
I'm
hi, where's my able-bodied boss?
right.
I've been monitoring your post on Facebook. Wow.
I mean, it's good to see all of you. The new year brought new thing. I see the smile and happiness in the faces of every one of you
Oh
guys.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
this is how it should be. No matter what happens,
Mm-hmm.
let me tell you, smiles tell a lot. When you smile, you give a special message out there, and so the smiles on our faces will cover everything else.
Right.
And so we just need to be smiling. And I think our guest will soon be in. He's been trying to get in. Let's just make sure that he's in. Uh,
Me, my,
Liberia. Yeah,
my own
Liberia.
smile was, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was trying to say Liberia is a very interesting country. And one thing, let me tell you one thing. I don't know your experience, but my experience from the war days in Liberia, it taught me that yes, or no matter what calamity Liberians face, there is still this little hope. Because I remember, during the wartime when people were still smiling, despite the food shortages, uh, people have to run for their lives, uh, health crisis. Then, of course, the big one. Nobody have home. You could where you lay your head for the night is your home, and tomorrow you'll be on the run. But my friend, I mean, people are still happy. People, we and that, I think that's how we managed to overcome some of the woes that's WOES, the woes that we faced in Liberia. And so, yeah, Steve, you wanted to say something.
No, man. I just pray and hope the network conditioning Liberia, yeah, it's going to help out, our guests, I'm worried
Yes.
about the network situation.
Yeah, our guest actually he's making frantic effort to log on. I see him in the background,
Yeah,
and this brings me to say that these are some of the things that we're talking. These are what people face on a daily basis in Liberia. That you have to log on a simple program like this, and then it takes so ever for the internet to load. Can you imagine in this age and time? And this internet has been around, I think, since the early 90s, and other countries have advanced. They've further, you know, and then we are like just starting. And I mean, for any sound-minded person, you will get concerned that your country is trailing behind in this age and time for simple things that even a high school, in fact, an elementary student can make use of, and we are still trailing
now,
behind.
but
Yeah, Paul, probably
yeah,
Paul, you are in the RT, you are in the RT area. Folks, those of you just joining us, we just preparing. It's going to be very hot here tonight. We have our guest trying to log on, and he's logging on from Liberia. So you just have to imagine what he's going through. So
Well,
what we're
the,
doing is,
the thing
we're
is,
just warming up.
right. So, do you want to send your guest a special data? Probably it may help him to come on because the data issue in Liberia can be
No, no, no.
some.
I don't think it's a data problem because I talked to the guest just 1 minute. He's actually like in the background, but
Right.
the internet is loading. So what he had to do some little touch ups because I understand that he was supposed to download Chrome on his phone and all this kind of thing. And then the problem is that I don't think it's a data because he and I talked before. What's happening here is that the internet strength, the connectivity is very poor. So it's like you are driving. Since we in Norway we have a lot of tunnels. Like you driving and then you enter the tunnel, man. Even if you don't lose total, contact, you see that your connectivity will become lower and whatever. So that's what he's experiencing right now in Liberia. But Paul, you in the RT area, uh, your own country, Liberia. I mean, we're trailing behind. We are lagging behind. What do you think? Is there anything special that we are not doing or that we fail to do as a nation?
No, the thing is actually have nothing to do with IT. It left with the kind of fiber optic cable that were connected. I think other Liberia was late because I was in Liberia recently. They still laying cables. Other countries were far. It actually passed over Liberia. So until we get the cable laid out, then we'll have better internet connection. And you remember too, other countries get many telephone company in Liberia. You only got two, and those two they stay based on towers. So I think that's why we're struggling. So if it's somewhere like in the UK here, if you go the underground train that you go like I don't know how many miles on there, you still get internet signal because they build the connection everywhere. So it's the fiber optic cable that is not yet completed in Liberia until that is done before we can have better internet connection.
Well,
And
well,
talking about
let me. Adam,
underground and
Adam,
talking about underground and strengthening your internet. Imagine in Norway. Norway is presently, I think, in the world. Norway has the longest underground tunnel right now. Now we have 25.4 kilometers underground. That's something like 30, or depending on your speed. In fact, in that tunnel, they got speed limit, so you can't beat it more than 30 minutes. If you beat it more than 30 minutes, they got the cameras here. So the cameras that they have there, they are very automatic. That they know that you are supposed to take normally 30 minutes in that tunnel, no matter whether your car has 500 kilometer mileage on it. So one camera here will record when you pass. So the next camera is waiting for you because they know that it's supposed to take certain amount of time from here to that next camera. So if you are just away by 5 kilometers above, that means you have been speeding. It will poke you. So the other one is also waiting for you until you can get there. So under that 25 kilometers tunnel, when we get there, brother, your connection is sharp. Even if you're playing your radio in your car, is sharp because what these people build these things, they set it up in a way that they don't want any interference. But like we said,
well,
our guest,
Adam,
uh-huh,
Adam.
yeah.
Well, I'm not, an ICT professional, right?
Mm-hmm.
I could assume that there are some routers that could be installed, within that tunnel, to boost, the availability of signal. Um, and when I listened to Paul spoke like, an ICT professional that he is, he was he was interested in discussing, the technical problem we confronted with, in terms of what we are ought to do to get the internet situation better. So I agree with him, but it is unfortunate. I think the icebreaker is the fact that government has not been, intuited enough to have prioritized, ICT and what needs to be done to better all this situation. situation, given the role of ICT, into modern life, given the role that the social media plays, and into every aspect and spectrum, of our lives. I think any government, in this modern age, we have to prioritize. But the good news is, the real change message, led by Mr. Cummings, have made the issue about infrastructural development, a number one major priority. And under infrastructural development, it is obvious that Mr. Cummings have prioritized this particular situation concerning with ICT. And so that's the good news. I think what we can all do is to try and make Mr. Cummings president. And let's see what level we can take.
Well,
ICT.
I just want to
if I can,
if you give me, I just want to make some little announcement. Tomorrow evening,
Mhm.
audience with Steve and Paul to be discussing ANC issue tomorrow. So we'll ask our listening audience if they tune in tomorrow at the same time. We'll have Mr. John Mawulu in our midst, a strong supporter and a member of the ANC, want to deep down into ANC, their manifesto, and what is happening to ANC and what is happening to Mr. Cummings. So tomorrow it will be fascinating. So I'll urge our audience to join us tomorrow to see what's going to happen, because we're going to deep down into ANC and move forward. Every Saturday will be an ANC night. And we'll also ask other parties within a CPP that want to join the platform, they're welcome to have their slot. So tomorrow will be an ANC night. So we're looking
So it's going to be exclusively for ANC.
Tomorrow will be exclusive for ANC. We want to deep down and find out why is Mr. Cummings, what the problem is, why Liberians rejecting him, why the other guys are rejecting him. We'll go deep tomorrow into ANC. Yeah. So,
Okay.
our guest.
Yeah, our guest. I think he's still having problem with this connectivity, but I told him that.
I wanted to say something, Lynn, for
Yeah.
back to the internet issue in Liberia. The reason why I think that we having this issue is because the entire networking system with regards to our telecommunication is being monopolized, in a sense that you only have one group of people doing a certain thing, and it's supposed to be open to competition. It's supposed to be a competitive area where you have different people bringing in internet service where people can choose from a better one. But this is the same thing. This is why now you see people like Beneda Ure, the likes of Kalando, the likes of we are and the rest of the people are fighting Mr. Cummings, because Mr. Cummings is coming from the business world. He know what it should be. It should be open to everyone. People should have the opportunity to choose from one internet service to another. So that is the reason why. That is why you see the system is fighting back, because all of these things, you just have one group of people sitting in that country and providing certain services, and no one venture to even do it.
Well, so I think in context, I agree with Entric. My attention was actually never drawn to the fact that internet provision service in Liberia, has been politicized or has been politicized. But I agree with her, because there's a sense in which a lot of stuff in Liberia, very important to the welfare and well-being of Liberian people, has been politicized, has been polarized. The service provision. So I said this to include the LEC, the LEC service provision. It's been politicized. When the government wants to maximize, satisfaction on the part of its citizens, when the government take as acceptable measures, of providing these services a better lives, everyone around Liberia has called for the privatization of the LEC, and that is going to make the situation better. But that has been politicized, even the production of rice, as an agro technician, I know the extent to which, the degree to which, our major and staple food, rice, has been the production and, availability of rice on the Liberian market has been politicized. So there are a lot of things, too many things in Liberia politicized nowadays. And I agree with her contextually.
Yes, of course, that's what happening. For me, I was in the private sector long before, and I know how these people behave. I know how corrupt these people are. You just have one group of people, they just sit down on everything. In a business world, you have to have competition. The people should choose wherever they want to go. Like here, for example, we are in the Western world. You have various companies, internet companies to choose from. For now, my internet company that I'm taking internet from, if I feel that they are not okay, they are not providing the services that I need, how fast the internet I want it to be, I can choose. And I have more than 100 internet companies that I could choose from. And that goes beyond also with the electricity and the water service. You can choose from any other company, but you don't have that in Liberia. You only have one group of people offering a certain service, and the people have no choice. So whenever there is a technical fault from these people, the whole country is shut down.
But
Nothing's working.
Actress, the thing is, look at the whole thing here. One of the key to it is electricity. In anything you do with our electrical power,
Yes,
you cannot do anything. And like one of the biggest shortage in Liberia is the electrical power. Now, Liberia is situated in the geographical area of Liberia is unique.
yeah,
You have the sea. We have the longest coast on the west coast of Africa, the Mediterranean Sea. Then you have a good weather. So you have a lot of rivers and lakes. If Liberians are innovative enough,
yeah.
they'll make use of the rivers, they'll make use of the sun, they'll make use of the sea. What am I saying?
The thing is, how don't I wouldn't want you to say if Liberia are innovative enough. Liberians are innovative, but the problem is in their own country, they have
okay, guys, wait, hold on,
they
guys.
give no preference to foreigner than our own Liberians.
Right.
Let me tell you guys, we have not even started yet. We have not even started yet. I know we got diverse views. We have not even started. We're still having problem with our guests. But what I want to say here is that to you, our viewers, please do not think that we are wasting your time. I mean, you are up now and then you are dropping. But there's a shout out to all of the panelists here from one of our strong viewer and supporter, Orita Menon. Orita, we accept your greetings. And for those of you watching, please share the video. We'll soon be getting on. If we cannot get our guest on the screen, we're going to connect to him via messenger, and then the conversation will still go on. So in the next 2 or 3 minutes, I'm going to make every frantic effort to get a guest on. So Paul, I mean, I heard you guys talking about innovation in Liberia.
Yeah, he said Liberians are not innovative.
And I'll come back into
I challenge.
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you on that. And I challenge. I want you to take that back because Liberians are innovative.
Listen, Entric, let Paul end his point.
Exactly. They challenge all Liberians, including the ruling establishment. Because what I'm saying here, from the day I was born, there's nothing have come out. I know that few Liberians have proposed few things, but to see it in reality, it's that reality I want to see. Then I'll say,
let me cut you off right there. How will you see it in reality? just an example of Mr. Cummings, what is going on right now. This is to tell you, this is how our people who are innovative, productive men and women of Liberia, this is how they strangulate them. This is how they suffocate them to the extent that they gave up and turned their back.
So that brings me to what I'm
Well,
trying to say.
can I come in on that? Can I come in on that, Paul? First of all, before I go any further, let me say shout out to the coordinator of feeding, fighter Rita Mena. You know, that lady is such a fighter, a female, you know, frontliner. She's a general, you know, and it's good to have her on. Now, let me partially, you know, with a thin line, agree with Paul, and substantively, I mean, let me partially disagree with Paul and substantively agree with my sister
Okay.
Hendrik. Now, when Paul said a lack of innovation, I try to understand that as what is true, a lot of our Liberian, you know, population are not, you know, rich people, if for lack of better words. But yet there are few privileged, there are few blessed. Okay, so when he said lacks of innovation, I think that speaks to the few of us that are blessed. Why are we not getting involved with service provision, you know, more especially services like these ones we're discussing, you know, that remain key to the survivability of Liberians, to the survival of Liberians? Why don't blessed Liberians, a few blessed Liberians, get involved with, you know, like you mentioned, making use of renewable energy resources available to us in Liberia? You know, we might not have the machines for, you know, bioenergy, you know, production, but at least for the sunlight, we can make use of it. Okay, so at least we need to see few Liberians involved with rice production. Now, but let me come now to Hendrik, where I substantively agree with Hendrik. Is I think one of this conversation is going to a point, you know, where government has failed to empower the private sector. Because mind you now, like Mr. Cummings has said over the time, like all of us will agree, and government cannot just do everything. But government can create the opportunity for the private sector to thrive. Government can create opportunity. You know, they can create an atmosphere very conducive, you know, for few folks, you know, with, you know, the innovation and the willingness and the preparedness, the financial preparedness to get involved with stuff like, you know, renewable energy, stuff like, you know, agriculture, food production, agronomy stuff, you know. So I think, yeah, while it is true, we are not saying, you know, a few Liberians who are blessed to be innovative by making impact in that direction, you know, but it is also true that government has not created that atmosphere that can help, you know, folks within the private sector, you know, to help these problems, you know.
Right. So, any news from the guests or what's going on? Because our viewers are anxious to listen to Menepaka Des Moines and what is going on. Oh,
Yeah, this is unfortunate. We hope the DOC can bring him whatsoever way possible, because I am not ready. I'm ready in other words.
Okay, guys.
what's happening?
I'm ready
Those
only
out
to
there.
enter out with the God.
Yeah. Shout out to all of our viewers out there. We're very happy that you are with us and you've been so patient. You know, like I said, we are in a technological age and we expect all of these things to happen. Finally, we've got our yes. and we're going to have him on a video call from Liberia. And this guest is no other person than a political activist, a political analyst, a young Liberian who is very passionate about seeing Liberia grow. And without much to do, we'll ask him to introduce himself and briefly tell us about his ambition. What led to him being so much involved in politics? So um let me.
Okay. Well, gentlemen, hello.
Yes.
Hello. Am I being heard?
Yeah, you are heard. You are loud and clear.
Right. So, thanks for having me. It's an absolute pleasure being on the platform.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry about the technological glitch. So, briefly speaking, I'm a Liberian political activist and analyst. I am pushing very hard for an Alexander Cummings presidency because I think it will bring the country back from the brink. So we had a civil war. Post the Civil War, we had the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf 12 years administration. Most of it was under the blue helmet of Unmill. First post-Unmill president being George Manuel Weah, and there are difficulties. Foreign direct investment is leaving the country very fast. There is anxiety amongst the locals about the future of the country, anxiety based on poor economic performance. It's not just data, it's real human beings being hurt by the exchange rate fluctuation, causing people who make meager income to suffer further loss. The civil servants have lost upwards of 30% of their income. People who businesses were dependent on concessions, most of them have been devastated. Poverty is on the rise in Liberia. And I'm passionate about change in 2023 because the victims of we are poor economic governance are my relatives, are my very self. I started a business that collapsed in the face of COVID and the lack of a coherent government intervention to save small businesses. And so I see the losers, I see the victims of the current economic mismanagement everywhere I turn. And that is what lights the fire in my belly for change. Change means we have a country that is functional, that is respectable, that can attract foreign direct investment. Foreign direct investment is very important because investment is a function of saving. Savings is a function of earning income. So without income, because you don't have an industrial base, you have an unproductive civil service and a backward rural agriculture to rely on as the productive sources of income. And that's not going to be enough. We need foreign capital to be put to work in Liberia, to employ the Liberian youth, to employ our people.
About
Because,
Mr. Mr. Dumoy, you know, I see you so energetic and you got all of these information flowing. But let me ask you, how do you think all of these things can come about? These things that you are naming, how do we get them?
Because of the way the 1986 Constitution is structured, the presidency of the executive presidency of the Republic of Liberia sets the tone. Without a presidential commitment to a course of action, it's difficult to find success. That's why we are iron focused on getting Alexander Cummings into the mansion.
And do you think Mr. Cummings have that Maris touch? You know, I know the story about this king that was called King Maris. He had this Maris touch that whatever he touched at the time turned to gold. So do you see Mr. Cummings as a King Maris?
I don't think I will not go so far as to say everything he touched will turn to gold, but I will go the length to say he is the most credible of all of the men that are running for office in the areas that matter. When businesses are trying to invest in Liberia, they want to know if the government understands their business, if the government is led by people who understand what they're trying to do, if they will have rules that are fair, if they will have a progressive system within which they can operate. Alexander Cummings understands the language of global capital. He understands what these multinational corporations want. He also knows how to get better deals for Liberia. He can attract capital back to the country, and he can deploy the locally generated taxes in a more productive manner. All the Liberian government does is tax the people and spend the money away. We have been doing for years.
Mr. Demore,
to not just tax the people, but then spend their taxes in a productive way, investing properly.
There is a question. There is a question from Paul Chirokle. But first of all, let me just introduce. You know, we waited so long, so we couldn't just wait to run into this thing. So let me just introduce the panelists here. We have the lady among the three gentlemen here is Madame Antrik Jallo. She lives in Belgium. She's a Liberian, and also have Mr. Stephen Carley. He's a Liberian. He lives in Germany, and Mr. Paul Chirokle. He lives in the UK, and my name is Linford Go, and I live in Norway. So Paul has a question for you.
Linford, can you adjust your camera? I'm seeing your laundry.
Yeah,
I'm seeing laundry.
There is something actually. Okay, let me just see what I can do. You're right. I think I need to. Okay.
Yeah,
do I need to? I need to off my camera, right? Okay, I think so. Okay, you're right. I think it's all right now, right?
Minipaka Demore, how are you, brother? If you can hear me loud and clear, can you hear me?
We're good.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I heard you talking the good things about Mr. Cummings, and I know there is an issue in Liberia that he's in court. If he's found guilty, will he be able to run? Because under the Liberian law, a criminal won't be able to contest for a presidency.
Yeah, you are on. You are on. You are good. Paul is asking that you mentioned all these good things and said that Mr. Cummings has the ability to make these things happen under a good government. But Paul is asking, there is a case with Mr. Cummings now, and he's in court. What if he's found guilty?
First of all, he cannot be found guilty because we have a big old video of Bernard Ure signing the collaborative political parties agreement. Bernard Ure, as a party to a contract, has responsibilities. Alex Cummings cannot swash Ponti. He cannot do for Bernard Ure what is Bernard Ure's responsibility to ensure that what he signed is reflective of what he read or what he wants to sign. Those are duties that are within Bernard Ure and the ALP's purview. The framework agreement was signed in public on Zoom. All of the other cocoa stories Mr. Ure is purporting will not hold water. Mr. Ure will learn very painfully that the legal system we have in Liberia is born out of the common law tradition. This is an almost 1,000-year-old tradition. You alone cannot beat it. You're not smart enough. We have systems to test the arguments you're presenting. More than that, we have superb lawyers that will be able to establish that Bernard Ure is incapable of proving fraud. He has to prove beyond all reasonable doubt. You know, the standard of proof in criminal cases is beyond all reasonable doubt. In civil cases, it's something we call balance of probability. But in criminal cases, the standard of proof is so high. You will have to prove that, number one, he did not sign the framework agreement.
Mr. Demore,
You signing in the public, signing the framework agreement and then going to all CPP meetings? How did you enter?
Paul is
How did you
yeah,
enter?
yeah, but Mr. Demore, Paul is following up. So listen carefully.
But Mr. Demore, with all this being said about URE, no, Mr. Cummings said the government is working along with URE, and on Spoon television yesterday, Serena Sifa actually indicted Mr.
Okay,
Cummings.
I'll relay.
All right.
You heard
Yeah, go
that?
ahead.
I said, you've been seeing all these things about URE, and Mr. Cummings said URE and the government are working hand in hand. On Spoon yesterday evening, Serena Sifa indicted Mr. Cummings. So what's your take on this?
Okay, Paul is asking that with all of what you explaining concerning the framework document, Mr. Cummings has accused or forced out
accused
that the government and Mr. URE are all working together against him. And then to further give impetus to that, yesterday on Spoon TV, the Solicitor General of Liberia, according to Paul, openly indicted Mr. Cummings. So, do you see any fair play between them?
First of all, I'm going to make two arguments. I'm going to make a legal argument, and I'm going to make a political argument. A legal argument. The Solicitor General has a legal obligation to prosecute offenses against the state. The Solicitor General did or has done a very poor job. He's been very political in the discharge of his duty. I have classic example of when he did similar. In my own case, in 2020, he charged me with a crime that no longer exists. He charged me with criminal malevolence. All speech-related crimes repealed under Liberian law. Under the Abdullah A. Kamara Act, there is no criminal malevolence. I cannot go to jail for what I say under Liberian law. The Solicitor General knew that. But because they have a judge, Juma Chala, who just gives out, he is producing arrest warrants. He just produced warrants anytime CDC wants it. He actually some people have said. But they went ahead and issued an arrest warrant for me. They did the same with this fraud case. They're speaking out of embarrassment. This is the third or fourth time Serena Sifas has made a total mess of his office. He is the same one that said Amara Kone and others stole $4 billion from the Republic. They were going to go and retrieve it. Up to now, we have not seen a dime in the coffers. He tried to prosecute me. My lawyers killed the case before he got off the. Okay? He came out with Justice Janet. He wrongfully prosecuted Justice Janet. They had CDC lawmakers that wrongfully impeached Janet. And when Janet went to the ECOWAS court, it was a national embarrassment for Liberia. Liberia found to have proceeded wrongly, and ECOWAS awarded Justice Janet handsomely.
But don't you think that will apply to Mr. Cummings if the same Serena Sifa?
Paul is asking, Mr. Dumont, Paul is asking, so the scenario that those scenarios that you just named involving yourself and that of Councillor yeah. Do you think the same could apply to Mr. Cummings in this case? That's what Paul wants to know.
It's a bogus charge. It's a trumped up charges that are put out by discredited government. Definitely, this will increase Cummings' standing in Liberian politics. The assessment here is that George Manuel Weah.
But what is? Okay, you feel that if I think the scenario you're trying to give is that if Mr. Cummings wins this case, his chances will increase. In fact, his popularity will increase, right? But what if he's brought down guilty? What if he's brought down guilty?
It is absolutely impossible that you lose. But even if you lose the case, his standing will increase because the international community is going to see this as witch hunt. They are going to see this as manipulation of the democratic system. They're going to see this as repression. And there will be an international campaign against the government. This will undermine the government democratic standing. There is no way Cummings gets a negative outcome from this. He wins or he loses the case. He's going to gain political capital. For the last 8 months, the United Party have been charging that Cummings is the agent of the George Weah administration. By George Weah, associated by George Weah prosecutor. Everybody knows Serena Seaford is a very partisan prosecutor. Very partisan prosecutor. The fact that the CDC government is indicting, arresting, and prosecuting Cummings means that the CDC government has assessed Cummings as a threat. You cannot make these two arguments, you cannot sustain these two arguments. One, that Cummings is an agent of the government, and then you say the government is putting Cummings in jail. It's difficult. And so the United Party now is on the hot seat. Bernard Ayiwere and everyone that's cooperating with the government to undermine Cummings, they are now exposed as the true agents of the government. And the Liberian populace, because they have agreements with the government, they are looking for the real opposition. And Cummings is the only one they see today. That is the grand mistake and miscalculation the government and the Unity Party made by putting Cummings in this position.
Let me come in. Let me jump in.
Okay. The other panelists, sorry, folks, I'm having a little situation here, but it's under control. Okay, sorry. And these are the people we're fighting for in Liberia. Steve wants to come in. Steve?
Yeah, and I want you to please keep the microphone of the phone you're using to host Mr. Dumoy close. You know, I'm not interested necessarily in the video, but I want him to hear my question. I'm not sure you can interpret the basis, you know, the premise of my question.
I don't know if he can hear you. Can you hear him?
No, the only person I can hear are you.
Yeah, I don't know.
So then Steve, make it short.
Wow, this is unfortunate. Well, he made every effort to be on here, evident by the fact that he's even coming in by means of WhatsApp. The situation back home wouldn't allow him yet to be here by means of StreamYard. But again, it is clear, it's an open secret that the Weah-led establishment have dismally performed, you know, at every major indicator of good governance, economic revitalization, the protection of the rule of law. You can go about naming it. Now, the point is, the Weah-led administration is only orchestrating a continuation of a problem that we have been faced with, you know, if not decades, then centuries ago. Now, for centuries now. Now, so my question here is, I want for, you know, the brother Imani Parker Dumoy to contextualize for us what Mr. Cummings is confronted with now in Liberia. I want the brother to...
He's off.
Yeah, let me see. Yeah, this is a situation we are faced with. Folks. Yeah, I will call him back, and folks, we admire your effort that you will stay with us, hanging in with us, and like we said before, you know, these are things that we personally do not have control over. It's beyond our control at certain time, but yet we try our best to see how we can go about it. You know, because the same things we talk in Liberia. If Liberia was better, if things were better, we wouldn't be going through these kind of things. What is internet connection that the entire world is using now and we cannot get? But again, that's it. So Paul, I will go off the screen for a moment and try to get back our guests, so you guys can just continue brainstorming on some of the things that he said.
Okay. Well, he said a lot, and I'm big concerned and kind of, if Serena Seaford was the one to prosecute and impeach Jeffrey Dahmer, there is the same government is now using Serena Seaford for Mr. Cummings, and that's a concern. And that
no, but the bottom line is Serena Seaford has always been used as a stooge for every government he worked for. If anyone knows, Serena, I mean, that brother is very disgusting. I mean, he has a very disgusting political record. Yeah, I mean, professional record history.
Yeah.
And so what Serena Stephens did last night on Spoon Talk, made no news to me. Matter of fact, Serena Stephens came mesmerizing our people. Serena Stephens basically, prejudiced, on a case that is before the court. Serena Stephens said Mr. Cummings is innocent. You know, I mean, Serena Stephens said in context that Mr. Cummings is guilty and you have evidence and blah blah blah. You know, so this is a legal minded, person expected to be. He's the prosecutor government. There's a case before the court of law, and becomes
This is the point I'm making. He's already indicted Mr. Cummings guilty before the case even starts.
This is
So,
hard.
so that means Cummings now is guilty by Serena Stephens, who is the prosecutor here.
But
if Serena
it's,
Stephens was the judge,
Well,
he would have.
this is the government. The judge is the government. If you look at it, and this is the
Yeah.
government that Cummings said the government against him. So the
so
government
that whole case is conflict of interest. First of all, the case is not between the government and Cummings. The case is between ALP and ANC. Why is the government coming up, and why is it that Serena Stephens have to come on or social media to discuss a case that is already in court? He knows he is a lawyer and a solicitor general at that. He knows the rules. Once a case is in court, it should not and never be discussed on any social platform.
But that's
And
the
you
point
have
I'm making.
that-
You see, so interest you got me. So even if you're guilty, the prosecutor cannot tell you say you're guilty until all reasonable doubt before they come and say
Yes.
you are guilty. But he
And,
said
and the lawyers of Cummings need to file a protest against Serena Stephens and have him out of that case, or the case be thrown out of court because of what he did. Yes.
Okay.
Because he
Well,
have already
we
discussed
went
everything about the case, how they have evidence against Cummings, that Cummings did this, Cummings did that. I listened to everything. And these people are so stupid. That's why I was in a chat room with Serena Stephens one time, a WhatsApp chat group that was created by the journalist. And then I asked him a question. He is someone who is very boastful, He boasts about being part of the International Prosecuting Committee here in Holland. So I asked him, I said, Paul, how did these people come about to choose you? Because I don't see you represent anything. And apart from that, you have too much record behind you. And all your records are not good at all. You are corrupt. You are into all kind of malicious acts. How did it come about in selecting you to be part of International Prosecuting Committee?
well,
Why?
so Andre, hold on. Leave for any news?
Well, I'm still trying to connect to him. I think he was like on another call. His phone is ringing actually now. I don't know whether he's still on that call, but his phone is ringing. But whatever the case is, I'm sure he's going to be joining us back pretty soon.
But we can just continue discussing the issue, because what is unfolding right now is a very, very important and sensitive issue. Especially we as an ANC partisan, we can no longer sit back and say we want to act intelligent anymore. We are not.
Okay, let me ask you a question. As an ANC partisan, and what is unfolding now in Liberia, what are some of the things that ANC going to come up with? If you may advise ANC or your party
Yes,
about
if I were advise ANC, this is something that ANC should have done long ago. One, you should have a snake is never a pet. Never get involved with criminals. These are criminals who have kept our country in darkness, in abject poverty for a long time.
But then
But
other people are
we
saying,
cannot cry.
others are
We
saying,
cannot cry over a spilled milk. It has already happened. But what we can do now with the case that is going on, that the government put themselves into, and they are not the ones that we are up against. Rather, is the ALP and the ANC. This is an opposition issue. And what is happening is just an accusation. It has not been proven. And the government is all into it. This is so unprofessional. And the ANC should take a step. The lawyers of the ANC, they know their job. They should take a step and file or protest against the government of Liberia, against the government of Liberia represented by the Solicitor General, to step aside and even go to the extent of having this case thrown out because of Serena Seaforth's fault.
right.
This is
So,
Okay,
I just want to throw in something to make a quick announcement. Tomorrow, there'll be an audience with Steve and Paul. It's an ANC night. We'll have John Maulo in tomorrow, so we can go in depth with this ANC, what is happening, why ANC is a little bit behind, why the CPP other members are one step ahead of ANC. We'll deep tomorrow. That's why it's called the bottom line. So watch out for tomorrow. The same time, we'll be on with John Maulo from ANC.
And we should start involving the international community, because what the government of Liberia is doing through their agents, the UP and the ALP, is these are things that cause problem. They have spent a lot, they have invested a lot into Liberia. So we don't want the country to go back to where it comes from. It's not going
folks,
okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to inquire, where are we with getting the guests back online? Because this is disappointing.
Oh no, like we said, this is beyond every one of us control. And like I said before, this is the same thing we're talking. Bad governance, bad system, nothing works. Simple internet, we cannot get it on. But let's just read a few of the comments here. Of course, earlier on, Orito Menon said hello to all, and then she was actually referring to us. But Oliver J.K. I guess he's from the UK, has this to say. He said, Mr. Ure brought the litigation because he claimed that his signature was forged on the document filed to NEC. And so, and I would have loved our guests to be here to throw light on
but
that.
that is not, let's be clear, that accusation is not new to us. A few months ago, Mr. Ure came up with a similar accusation and said Mr. Cummins took a photocopy of some signature page and attached it to the final FD document.
But I think what Mr. Che is trying to say is that despite that accusation he talked about, but what Mr. Che is trying to highlight here is that the present situation, I think, I'm not reading his mind, but what he's trying to say is that the present situation in a case is that Mr. Ure had gone to court because he's claiming that his signature was forged, and so
yeah, it's based on forgery and criminal conspiracy.
Yeah,
you understand that? Yeah. So, but mind you, this is not new to me because Mr. Ure raised this issue a few months ago, and the ANC came up with a clear-cut rebuttal. In a press conference, I remember the Secretary General of the ANC, Anthony Aloysius, he made it clear where he compared the signature pages, from the previous, copy of the FD, to the signature page of. So it did not show to us that these two pages were photocopy of each other. So in other words, the page the signature page that was attached to the final framework document is different. The arrangement of the names and signature on it is clear different from that of what Mr. Ure claimed the photocopy was done from. So, this is just no news to me. This is just Mr. Ure raising a baseless argument. I would have just loved, that we didn't have this situation, because I had some serious minded questions.
And I want to come in a little bit, Steve. And I think that what the lawyers of the ANC can do is to ask the court to subpoena the person at the National Election Commission that brought out whatever thing that is going on right now, so that he can explain, because this is a criminal intent.
Yeah, but Antrik, I don't know if you listen to Mr. Bernard Agure on Costa show from start to finish.
Yes,
I think he addressed that question in a way that probably was in denial of somebody from NEC giving information, because he said he was at home and watching television, and then he saw this comedy show where people made fun of people, and then on that show somebody started making fun of the framework document, saying that even if you don't want to be in the CPP, you cannot leave. That's what the document says. And according to Mr. Ure, that particular or the entire document was not in public glare. It was not open to the public. So how did this group get to know the particular clause within the framework agreement? And this is what prompted him to call NEC. Okay, so in other words, he tried to cleverly say that nobody at NEC called him to give information, but he rather got a tape off and then called NEC.
But yes, he now the case is in court. This is some of the reason why before you take a case to court, you don't just go like that. You should consider a lot of things. Once you take a case to court, get ready to bring all of your proof. All those people.
Andre, you are ANC supporter, and now the Solicitor General Serena Sifa indicted Mr. Comey. Isn't that a case for ANC to go after the government that throw the case off the court?
But that's what I said it earlier, Chairman, that the lawyers
can now have something that they can use that the case have not started yet, and then so they can use it to their advantage. So what's happening with the ANC? What is strategy?
And whatever happened is gonna be the fault of Serena Sifa. Serena Sifa loves to run his mouth and talk blah blah blah. But this is at the advantage of us because of his negligence. Because of his negligence,
gentlemen, I know.
ANC.
I can see the energy is flowing. I can see how I don't want to say excited, but how willing
this is why we are on every platform listening and taking up. And he will not lie because he is
time is not on our side. One, sorry to interrupt you, Andre. Time is not on our side. One, and two, it's kind of disappointing that the pressing or the horses or the herds from whose mouth we would have heard all of this is not here. So we that are here, of course, we are panelists. So our opinions
matters. My opinion matters. In this case, we're not gonna sugarcoat anymore.
You are not in a court. You are not making any contribution.
But that is the rule. That is the rule. You can do law. You can do anything and become a lawyer. That is a rule. There's no exception to that. That is a rule. When a case is in court, you don't discuss it. Except where you can ask for a permission from the court whether you can discuss the issue through your lawyer, and then they give you a go ahead. But not when in a sensitive issue like this that has the propensity of causing chaos in the country, because these are two major political parties. that can bring serious violence in the country, and you as a solicitor general.
CFAS will argue, CFAS or the government will argue that this case is criminally related. I'm not
It's
too
not
versed.
his case.
Hold on. Listen to me. They will argue that if this case is of criminal nature, it is the government that will handle it. And who does that? The Solicitor General, because he's the chief prosecutor of Liberia. So that's why he granted the interview.
But he handling it, but he don't have the right to come out and speak the way he did about the case when the case is in court.
Yeah.
Except
let me
when the case is done, then he can come to the public and tell the public how the proceeding went on and what happened. He don't have the right. He has gone against his ethic, and he can be prosecuted for that. He can be prosecuted
probably
for that.
Have something else.
And that can be an advantage. That can be an advantage to the ANC. And the lawyers should take it now and file a protest against him that the case will be thrown away, or they know what to do.
You know, I don't think it is wise enough at this point for the ANC to try to find a new lawsuit and get herself busy more in the court.
We are not finding a new lawsuit. I'm not saying a new lawsuit, Steve. I am saying that because the Solicitor General came out to talk about the case, why the case is still in court, has the propensity of making this case to be thrown out. First of all, the case is not between the government and the ANC. The case is between two private opposition political parties. And
I think the highest. I think the highest.
Like I said before.
Listen. No, I don't want to lose my thought. I don't want to lose my thought on this issue. The highest that could have been done or that can be done is to perhaps get the Solicitor General, outside of the courtroom and have somebody else represent the government. Now that in the worst case scenario, I think that
we will still not agree.
I come in. Let me end.
Because he has already rendered judgment.
Comrade, let me end. That I'm not sure is sufficient basis to justify, that the case being thrown up. Now, whether or not the Solicitor General was right or wrong does not erase the fact, that there is a violation of the laws of Liberia, if there's any. Now, what I'm saying in other words is, if indeed Mr. Cummings, violated, the principles of operations of the CPP, then, even if the Solicitor General came and said, Mr. Cummings is innocent, it's still not a sufficient grounds to put the case out of the court, and vice versa. Now, I am suggesting to us or to the ANC that, there's a sense in which at this point in time, at this particular moment, we expected Mr. Cummings to have been, more like talking to the Liberian people and purporting himself, as this face of the opposition, that this case has even made him to be, to represent the opposition, to be more like a face of the opposition. Now, but by this time, Mr. Cummings was giving his messages, enforcing his messages of real change and interacting more. Now, I think this is a clever political chicanery. Chicanery, aimed at having Mr. Cummings, out of the communities and trying to, get him busy, and quote unquote distracted, with legal, Rickman Rose, you understand? Instead of having him, because the more the opposition, the brothers from the other side of the divide, get Mr. Cummings to interact with the Liberian people, the more, the messages of real change has a propensity to attract the voters on his side. So I think any attempt to, further solicit another lawsuit at this point in time is just, in widening the level of distraction, we confronted with. In other words, you remember Mr. Cummings had sufficient legal basis to have sued the likes of, the folks within the CPP. You understand? Some of the folks within the CPP, the likes of Ure. Now, when this case was being adjudicated, but not completely adjudicated, even though the lawyers came and and made clear what their positions were, it was understood that Mr. Cummings changed nothing in the FD. Yet the then chairperson of the CPP came to the media and just made matter worse. Now at that point, up to the date, up to the time Mr. Ure initiated this lawsuit, Mr. Cummings had sufficient time to have taken a lawsuit, that is, if a lawsuit was necessary. For me, in my view and opinion, to conclude, I thought he was giving some space for sole session so that folks would come to their senses and know that we in our opposition, we have to fix this thing with INSA. So Mr. Cummings giving space. But mind you, he have got sufficient overriding legal basis.
All of the premises you laying, the case has gone to court. So that is like spilled milk. So let's move further. Now I want to also see what Regina Chie wrote here. She said, I don't know much about the Liberian justice system, but by law, this case should be thrown out because it has been discussed by the main source, the Solicitor General. It's the same thing we're talking now. But listen, I'm not legal. I'm not legal minded. But what I think is that I still hold our ground. I'm not correct. I still hold our ground that the Solicitor General will come back and argue strongly that in a case, I am the one who's going to oversee this case. So if I'm asked, I can give my opinion. It's not a verdict. So, and you guys are not even the person who is arguing this thing. I was the first person when I listened to Spoon TV last night. The moment Serena, I listened to everything. He mentioned the word alleged crime. Crime was allegedly committed. But at one point, he actually said that Cummings is a criminal. At one point, I heard it right away. I came on Facebook. I wrote that CFAS has prejudiced the case, and go on. That's one of the widest read posts. Go there and see what people are saying. Yeah, go and see what people are saying. So this argument is in the air, and then so, yeah.
Linford, what that man did, I keep repeating to Steve because I heard him saying it's not going to be a good thing for ANC to take another lawsuit against the government. No, I'm not talking about another lawsuit. What I'm trying to say, this whole case with regards to them coming up with lies and saying that Mr. Cummings had finger their document, blah, 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 is already dead on arrival. And the same government who conspire months and months to lie on this man and did all they got to do, it's already fall on sinking ground. And what has happened is that Serena CFAS has blundered miserably. Everything that he said, the lawyers of the ANC,
like I said before,
right?
Like I said before, we are the panelists. We are just discussing our decisions or our opinions do not really matter in this case. In as much as we have our own individual,
yeah, but the lawyers know their job. They know their job.
So in Liberia, do we have a really good justice system that would say people get away with all sorts of things in Liberia?
Okay.
There are a lot of cases that people have not brought to justice. There are a lot of those cases they have, but then come to the political issue, it just took them few seconds.
Okay, but then wait. Let me important. When you say we do not have a good justice system in Liberia, so it's vice versa. So can we say that since we lack good justice system in Liberia, Mr. Cummings can walk away free?
He can walk away free. He can go to jail too. So the possibility are there. So that's that.
So it's balanced, eh?
But in this case, the case is closed. The case is closed right now.
When Mr. Cummings, when Paul talked about, our one tongue, independent justice system, Paul speaks to, a partisan justice system. Okay. He speaks to the level of dependency syndrome, that has been characterized, by, major legal maneuverings within our justice system.
Okay, somebody.
I mean, please, I will say this. If this case is strewn out, if this case is strewn out, because some, misguided solicitor general came to the media and said what he's not supposed to say, does that clear Mr. Combs, considering that his integrity is involved? I think
And
it's a no
Mr.
to
Cummings,
that.
Mr. Cummings can
This case
file a defamation of character against them. That
Yeah,
is,
that's what.
and he will win the case because the case was thrown out. It was a
Cummings.
conspiracy theory.
Yeah, that is left with Mr.
No,
Cummings
but
and his,
for
his,
me,
and
I
his
want to
team of lawyers.
know the
But let's-
logical basis, the logical basis for the
We've
case
got
to
to
be thrown.
conclude here,
Now,
gentlemen.
yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to conclude here.
Now,
Yeah,
I have some questions for you guys.
Go ahead.
You man, that will perhaps change, the anchor or perspective. Now it is unfortunate that our guest is out. We have itemized a couple of critical issues to have had, an exchange with him. Mind you, I think, even the medium through which we were interacting with him, was not pleasing. And so I guess we need to rearrange.
Is that a question? We're going to rearrange.
No,
We're
I'm
going to
coming to the
rearrange.
question.
He has assured me that his internet is going to be set up tomorrow in his house, latest maybe Sunday, and things will be all right by Monday. So I need to get back to him, and I think he's always available according to him. So I need to get back to him to see when he can actually be at our disposal. So go directly to your question to me or to the rest of the team.
My question I was asking when he left was the fact that the CDC-led government has only, basically orchestrated a continuation of the problem we have. Now, all of you will agree with me, in context, or partially agree with me, that, our country and our people has been plunged into, years, if not century of, political, marginalization and economic stagnation. And what the CDC is orchestrating is just a continuation of, of what we've experienced over the years. Now, the question is, I wanted the guy to contextualize for us to contextualize what exactly Mr. Cummings is confronting with in terms of the forces fighting against him, in terms of the battle he's got before him, and why why Cummings. Why?
I can answer that question. Tomorrow, we'll have a true ANC person in the house, Mr. John Maulo, and you can throw that question to him tomorrow. He will clarify all that.
ANC. I like that answer.
So, yeah,
you want to import.
And Steve, if ANC has a good lawyer, we will win this case free, because that case is dead on arrival. I'm telling you.
Andre, yeah, that's your decision.
That's your opinion.
Let's wait until we get there. But let's read.
I agree with Entrig. Whether we have a lawyer.
This is opinions. These are opinions. Me, I agree with everything. Nobody is wrong. Nobody is right. That's our opinion. Orita Meno is saying. Yes,
I'm about to
say that. You, Steve, are making a good point, but we are dealing with individuals who are not trustworthy in this matter. And I don't know who she's talking about. Are we talking about the legal system or
the legal system and the government?
Yes,
they are not trustworthy.
I think she's just opposing the opinions of having the case thrown out on the basis of the SG coming to the media and saying things you're not supposed to say,
It is
as
possible.
opposed to my view about the case being adjudicated to its logical conclusion, when we arrive at the point that Mr. Cummings, integrity, is left to be free,
It's not possible for Mr. Cummings to have a fair judgment under these circumstances, where you already have the Solicitor General is already, he's already concluded that Mr. Cummings is guilty.
But this is what I've seen the ANC lawyers, the ANC party have a case now to say, look, he's guilty by the prosecutors. So
yeah, and the case need to be thrown out.
They got a case.
Let me say this. The lawyers,
guys, we got 8 more minutes to go. We are going to end this interview
the ANC team of lawyers.
9:30 your time, and let's say 8:30 your time and 9:30 my time. So we got 8 more minutes, and then in just one minute each, we're going to be running up, because I already see. In fact, let me not make a story. Let me put it there. One of the viewers, Herman Brown, he said the dialogue is good and the debate is good, but there should be, I think he meant to say, is there a time limit? Because we're not talking to ourselves. Actually, we're not talking to ourselves. Yeah, we're not talking to ourselves. We're talking to the audience. So I think they will need progression. They instead of us, one person or me, catching the flow and then just continue. So I think we need to also consider the feelings, the views, and opinions of our viewers. So I think these are some of the places. And by the way, you viewers, this is a new platform. This is a new platform. We are just trying to build up. So when you view us, you also share the video on your own platform. If you got a Facebook page, or like you on a YouTube, you got your own YouTube page, you share it so that we'll all grow, and then we'll all have that growth that we want to see with diverse, views. That if such a conversation is going on, that people got different thoughts. Yeah, Steve, you're trying to say something.
Yeah, whether or not this case is properly adjudicated or not, Mr. Cummings is in the lead. This issue has made Mr. Cummings the face of the opposition, and this is clear. This has begun Mr. Cummings' 2023 victory. Disregarding how it goes, I can assure you of the optics of the politics surrounding the political ramifications surrounding this issue. That's one thing. It is my hope that tomorrow we can have a very fruitful conversation, as we intend to use the platform to, unveil some, serious-minded people, serious-minded Liberians who support Mr. Cummings, from within and outside Liberia. At that conversation tomorrow.
Yeah, there is a question here, very important. Just before we leave, I think this is the question that will take us home, or the observation that will take us home. Each one of us will have 1 minute to wrap up on it. Mr. Oliver K. Chair in the UK writes, and read it. This is very interesting. Why is the litigation brought against Mr. Cummings instead of the ANC? Then he gave a scenario. He said, in business, when an employee commits a crime, it's always the entity that is brought to court and not the individual. What do you guys think?
Listen. And this is where, just to conclude, to give my conclusion, on this point, this is where, I agree that the government is involved because of this issue, that, the case, the writ was directed at Mr. Cummings instead of the chairperson of the ANC, because it is the ANC that enter, a political marriage with the CPP. So what has happened into the CPP, Mr. Cummings represented the ANC not as an individual, but as the PL of the ANC and as the chairperson of the CPP. And there where I think Mr. Cummings is being targeted as an individual, and there where I see the bias involvement of the government, even though they may say all criminal cases belong to government and all of that. So I mean that's my take on it.
Let me ask you one question as you leave. There is also a sense that if I work for the company and I steal any property from the company, it's not a company that is telling me to steal from the company. So who they going to sack? Is it the company they're going to sack or me?
No. Did you operate in your name, or did you operate as the manager of the company in the name of the company?
Okay, let me answer the question.
I don't want to investigate whether indeed you stole or not.
Yeah, let me answer that question. I am a plumber. I work for a plumbing company, right? You got problem with your switch system, and then you call my company. My company sent me to your house. I come, I've did my job, clean it. While going up, I steal all your money from your pocket and go.
I'm going to sue the company for sending an unethical plumber in my place. Yes. The relationship, the contract I entered, I didn't enter with a plumber. I entered a contract with an institution.
The thing is, the intention is to target the face of ANC, and the face of ANC is Cummins. They went directly for Cummins because
so I see you guys
is the face of the party, and once they can destroy Cummins, then they destroy the party. So that's the intent.
But Hendrik, before I leave, can you give this issue a thought? What is the degree of, was handcuffs necessary, this narrative? I want you guys to look at this narrative surrounding handcuffs, how ANC missed out on the handcuffs thing, and what would have been the international and local implications of this whole handcuff stuff?
Steve, have an ANC night tomorrow at 7.
Yeah. That's gonna be a major conversation.
We need to have a lawyer on the show tomorrow.
Well, back to Oliver.
Not those that are representing the case now, but a neutral lawyer that we get into the legal aspect of the debate tomorrow.
We will try to see if we can get a lawyer in for tomorrow.
Yeah, Andre, I think you know some people. If you just make a few telephone calls, between now and tomorrow.
Right. You're called the most troublesome young lady. That my FTC and schoolmate.
Right. So Oliver asked a good question. So that is to show that Mr. Cummins had been targeted because he represents an institution, and it's a political institution.
Yeah.
The political leader of an institution is not the administrator of that institution.
Yeah.
Many people will go through the administrative arm of that institution. So you have the party chairperson, you have the secretary general, and so forth. So if the institution is accused of wrongdoing, is that institution need to be taken to court? Yeah. Now, if you take the political leader who does not handle administrative work, that means he then single up, it's become personal.
Yeah.
So
it was his name on the document, though, and it was, he was the one that sat on a group or among a group.
But any business, the CEO of our business is the signatory to every document that goes out. It comes from the secretary general or it comes from whatever department, but the CEO carried and Cummins is the CEO of that business.
Yeah.
So now, if you're going for him that somebody did administrative work, it means how to sue the whole entity, not the individual.
Yeah.
Okay. On point. The time from my end is exactly naturally, and it's actually in the UK, so we held up to our 30 minutes today. But just before you go, we had a good number of people watching us today, and let's apologize again. We're using a platform that we stream through onto Facebook. We're not directly on Facebook, like you open your Facebook and you go live. No, we're using a platform. And then we got some technical issue with Facebook that we're trying to sort out. We got no control over it. They can sort it out. So we're hoping to come back. And when we come back, that means we're going to be spread out all over the place. We'll be on Facebook direct and stuff like that. But Facebook is putting a ban on us for some time now. And it's going to be later, so we don't know why. But we thank you for your time. And we also regret the situation where just could not be with us as we have expected on the screen, so that you all see him well, and he couldn't stay long with us. I was calling him directly. Probably his data went off. We don't know. So thanks a lot for watching, and for those of you who commented, our own Orita Menon,
our own girl,
and Mr. Chie, and the rest of you, share the video. Even after this podcast, you can go back to YouTube and then watch. In fact, we'll paste it also on our Facebook page, so you can go there and watch it and leave your recommendations. What you think we can do to improve this platform. Is a new one, and Antrick is doing pretty well. She got no journalistic background, but I mean, she's a tough talker. And Paul there, Paul is technical. Paul, you see, Paul comes from a computer background, so. And with all of them teaming up here with me and Steve also, and we sorry that our other panelists could not be here tonight, Jamel. So I think the guys are doing great, and we'll improve, and we can only improve if you help us to support us by sharing our video and liking it and subscribing to our YouTube page. Then of course we got a deal to go, and we can go. Let me tell you, one day we'll be going 1,000. So every 1,000 mile start from one. So we are on step 1 now. Paul, any party message, and Andre, anything that you want to say that we didn't touch? Or I know your announcement for tomorrow. That's it.
Well, I just want to say thanks to the listening audience, and I will hope to have Mini Packer of the Morning back sometime soon.
For sure.
And we're looking forward to bringing Mr. John Mawolo from the ANC to give for the in-depth knowledge of ANC, how far they gone. So that's what I can say. I would say
tomorrow is going to be a tough.
Yeah, it'll be a great show tomorrow.
I'm looking forward to very, very much interesting, more than today.
Yeah,
because we're going to have a full house.
Yeah, what I wanted to say, because we're in Europe, we have a lot of issue with the Liberian diaspora in Europe. So we'll be reaching out to our European brothers and sisters and to discuss Liberians who live in Europe. So as we build up the platform,
we'll knock on your doors. We're going to be knocking on your doors, so always be ready for us.
Yeah.
Okay, but just before we leave, gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, just before we leave, could we just hear a little bit of Mr. Cummings' vision?
Yes, that is our change. Real change is here. Liberia deserves better.
My name is Alexander Cummings, and I want to work with honest men and women to change Liberia for the better. I want to open the doors of governance to all capable persons. I want to use the collective brain power of all of our men and women. I want to build a nation of self-sufficiency. I want to build an environment that thrives on and promotes a vibrant Liberian private sector. I want to ensure that we are a nation where education is key in all of our national development priorities. I want to create and nurture a development agenda that ensures our young people have jobs when they graduate from school. I want to create an environment where our women have access to equal opportunities in every aspect of our society. I want to promote a system that uses our country's natural resources for the benefit of all. I want to see our country flourish beyond our wildest imagination. We are capable of doing it if we work together. We may not all agree all of the time, but we can set aside our differences and work towards charting a new course without the infighting, backbiting, and backstabbing. Whether you're a member of the ANC, ALP, LP, or UP, we must channel our support for individual candidates into championing our collective objective, defeating the Weah administration in the 2023 presidential and legislative elections, and ushering in a governance more prepared, more capable, more experienced, more skilled, and more honest men and women. With your help, we can move Liberia to being a better country. I thank you. God bless you and God bless Liberia.
My glasses.
Okay.
God bless you
Thank you,
too.
guys.
Our
On that note,
friends in waiting. God bless you too.
on that note, we like to say thanks for watching and thanks for being our able panelists tonight and tomorrow. We can't wait to have Mr. John Marlowe from the ANC on. He's going to be going deeper into ANC. So we welcome each and every one of you tomorrow to join us at 8 o'clock Central European time. And if you are in Liberia, you can join us 7 o'clock Liberian time. Paul, have a good night. And Andre, have a good night.
Yeah. Good night. Ciao.
Thanks. Yeah.